and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, Orcs. I'm your host Chase with my co-hosts Blake and John.
Yellow.
Orcs.
Who wants to say it?
I don't.
Let's get this shit show on the road.
Blake, not on board tonight.
No, I'm not. It's weird. It's like a wound that just it's getting worse over time.
I picked this movie for you. This is right up your alley.
It's almost like being stabbed on Weathertop, and it's never quite healed. And
Oh my god. It's about to get real nerdy up in here, I think.
yeah, it is. You have no clue.
Buckle up. One question before we start was, what was this movie rated?
I don't know.
Because I feel like it could have been very easily been rated G.
Oh yeah, it could have. Yeah, no, I mean there's like
The
severed heads and
decapitations.
stuff.
Yeah, the decapitations would take it up, but I'd say no more than a PG-13 at the worst.
At the most, just
No,
because
I think there were some F-bombs and stuff.
Was
Really?
there?
I think so.
I can't remember like an instance of one though.
Well, go back and watch it, John, and let us know.
All right. No, honestly, like movie's fine. It's fine. We'll see you next week, folks.
I don't agree.
I think, it would have been just a normal shitty movie for me if it wasn't just hitting that nerve of mine. Like, you can't just rip off Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
It doesn't work that way.
And they weren't subtle about it at all.
Oh, no. It's almost as if that was the only reason they made this movie.
Yes.
I mean, like, we were just talking about how all these low-budget movies are just fighting stuff in the woods.
Right.
So, but you have to come up with something original to fight, I guess, at some point. Because it's always like an alien or a monster or a Sasquatch or whatever. So they're just like, I don't know, orcs, maybe? Let's just make it a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Orcs outside of like a fantasy medieval setting just don't work for me.
Especially when it's just dudes in like costume store male armor.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else to them. Like that was my biggest it's a damn shame. I'm like, well, the orc anatomy is all off. Like like that was one thing that was bothering me.
They just had regular human proportions.
Yeah. And
most of them looked rather small.
exactly. There's only one really good looking orc. Like I give him credit for at the end. Like he actually looked like an orc. But everything else was just dudes in helmets.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I feel like most of the problems with this movie just came down to budget, really. They couldn't hire the best actors. They couldn't get the best costumes. It just seemed to all come down to budget to me. I wasn't offended by anything, really.
Well, don't worry. I was offended enough for all three of us and then some. Let's get through this shit.
Okay, let's get started. All right, so we open up to a title card with a quote by the first ever park ranger, Stephen T. Miller. It says, "They are a fine, earnest, intelligent, and public-spirited body of man, these rangers. Many and long are the duties heaped upon their shoulders. Everything the ranger knows, he will tell you, except about himself." And a more true sentence describing this movie there could not be, because there is absolutely zero character development anywhere to be found in this movie. We know nothing personal about any of these people.
Nope.
Yeah, I guess so.
Their histories with I mean, there's a history between the Cal, the main dude, and the protester chick, Katie.
Yeah,
but
we don't know.
They have history. What is it? It beats me.
They give you just enough. Just enough. You don't need to know the whole deal. The whole backstory.
Maybe we do, to make this not a terrible movie. Anyway. The first scene's in Black Lake Mountain, Wyoming in 1909. And a miner's chipping away in a cave, and he's startled by a ranger, Zeke Crawford, and he's supposed to be the first ranger of this national park that just became a park. And he's got the phoniest mustache. Did they have to put that mustache on him?
Yes.
Yeah, that seemed pretty silly.
It was the dollar store disguise kit mustache.
No, the costume department went to Party City before they filmed, and this is what we ended up with.
Yeah, it wouldn't have stood out so bad if everyone else didn't have a real mustache.
He had like a 5-year-old girl's bangs under his nose. So he spooks the miner, and the miner spins around and says, "Oh, you scared the bejesus out of me." Were they saying bejesus back in 1909?
Yeah.
Well, argument settled.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Done.
Moving on.
I mean, everybody knows that.
Zeke points out that there's no more mining now that this is a national park, and you got to get out of here. And then they hear an ominous growling from behind the rocks, and the miner asks Zeke to hand him his lantern, and Zeke bends down to get it and comes back up, and the miner's disappeared. Ooh. We get a shot of the orc vision that we're going to see several times throughout this movie, where it's just a camera shot through a green beer bottle. And that's pretty much it.
Do orcs see things differently, Blake?
No. Why would they? Technically, they would have more elf vision, which is extremely sharp. Because they are corrupted elves.
Not wobbly and green?
No, not at all. They should have sharp vision. But let's keep going.
So Zeke peers into the hole in the rocks, and the unseen orcs attack and chase Zeke towards the opening of the cave. Zeke drops the lantern, which ignites the miner's dynamite, as he's pulled back into the darkness, and the dynamite explodes. Now, in all previous movies where a threatening force is unleashed from a cave, an explosion to me always designates that it's going to be a cave-in that's going to seal things in, not let everything out. Well, that's the first thing I thought was, that's how they get trapped in there.
It's your classic cave-out situation.
So these orcs have been loose since 1909. And
wait, really?
No, I think they were trying to say that the cave-in stopped them from coming out.
Well, how'd they get out next?
Well, that's not explained.
No.
I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to just have been around.
Is it because
for over 100 years and then?
Yeah. Is it just that there is mining in the area?
Yes.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, there is mining in the area.
Okay. Well, I'll give that back to him, I guess.
Movie's subtle.
Was anybody else hoping that Zeke was going to come back later in the third act? Like he just got sealed away in the time bubble in this cave?
Yes. Like Van Helsing in Monster Squad.
No. I had forgotten about that guy until you just brought him up again.
I thought for sure he was going to show up towards the end. Like he was stuck in the cave with the orcs for all this time. And help them.
That would have been awesome. Damn.
We're going to talk about the things that could have saved this movie when we get to the end.
Yeah.
We were discussing some of them already, and we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We cut back to present day, where Park Ranger Cal Robertson is leading a tour through the Balancing Rock Park, which is what this park's now called, showing the tourists the anthropomorphic rock art, and they don't really care about as he describes it. They don't really care about that. They want to see the balancing rock, which he tells them the balancing rock had to be taken down because its shadow was deemed inappropriate because it looked like a Johnson. Well, it turns out that was a dirty lie. That's just old Cal being Cal. That's all you need to know about him. He's a jokester.
Yeah. He's a little jokester. I like Cal.
So it turns out the rock fell over naturally. and that some natural wonders, they're only temporary. So, I don't know, maybe change the name of the park since it's been 40 years since it fell over. It fell over in 1973.
Then you gotta change all the signs. Ugh.
Yeah.
In 40 years to change the signs, that's asking a lot.
They got people like Cal running the place. It's never gonna get done.
Cal then starts putting the charm on two of the girls taking the tour while they're twirling their hair and clicking their gum, being girls.
Right.
And he talks about how dangerous it is being a park ranger, and then explosive title card Orcs just burst through the scene.
See, the movie knew it knows what it is.
Yeah.
It's having a good time.
And then followed by an opening credit sequence ripped right out of the Naked Gun.
That was kind of cool.
It held on that for so long. Just that shot of the sirens just for 5 minutes. And it wasn't going through comical places. It was just driving down the goddamn road.
Yeah, right. It would have been great if it drove through the orc cave and was running them over and stuff.
Missed opportunity.
It really was, yeah.
We cut to Cal fishing. The radio comes on, and it's Marge, the senior ranger at the park, and she knows that Cal abandoned the tour and he's off wasting time. Oh, Cal. So she orders him to get his ass back to the ranger station. So back at the station, Marge is on the PA system making a public service announcement about ravens having learned to unzip people's backpacks to get their food, and this never comes back in any way.
Well, no, that's just a fact.
We just needed to, educate the audience on the intelligence of ravens.
Yeah. The writer found that shit out on the internet the other day. Thought everyone should know.
Oh shit! I gotta put this in here.
Yeah.
People don't, people don't know how smart ravens are, so I'm putting this in the script.
They couldn't have done something that the orcs were use the ravens to go and get the dynamite out of the girl's backpack or something like that. Something smart to use with that information.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it would have. A lot of things could have been cool in this movie if it wasn't made by the people who were made it. See, this is why someone needs to. Hey, big Hollywood producer that I know listens to us. You got to give us a shot.
Dude, I see you. I see you in the back.
Sorry to tell you guys, he's Italian, and we ran him off on coming attraction.
It's like I heard him leaving. He was like, "Fuck these guys."
Anyway, Marge introduces Cal to Hobart Moss, which is the closest name to Hobbit as we can get.
Yeah, it was.
He's a volunteer ranger cadet that was sent to take over for Ranger Edgar, who's been missing for several days. Cal and Marge quibble about who's actually in charge before she pulls rank, and then sends them out to help Marvin at his shop. I don't know, he's like the tackle shop of the park or something.
Something like that.
Bait and tackle something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He owns a shop.
Once again, never really explained.
Doesn't need explaining though.
Does it?
No, it doesn't need explaining.
I mean, movies would be better if they didn't go around explaining things.
Exactly.
I'm just saying it's no big deal. They got a little shop in the park somewhere. Who cares? I don't need to know the year Martin was born and shit.
So they arrive at Marvin's and
Martin. Okay.
They arrive at Marvin's and the place is trashed. There's trash cans ripped open and toppled over everywhere. Hobie, as he now wants to be called, is questioning if it's been a bear or not. But the old man says, no, it's those damn druggy teenagers.
That's right.
As it always is. So Cal and Hobie head out to the woods to find the troublesome teenagers, and they're doing the pot and eating the snacks. So Cal quickly confiscates the pot and the snacks. You can see where this is going, you know, Cal being Cal.
Yeah.
And he gives the teens a quick lesson in Bear 101. All the while, they're being watched by someone with a green wobbly filter over their camera.
Damn
it.
Would an orc wait, Blake, if they had victims just sitting there?
Orcs are not known for their stealth.
Yeah.
They're usually a run out and smash and grab type. But I mean, they've been known to hold the line, so to speak, at times.
These are some stealthy bastards. They're into their reconnaissance.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not unheard of. It's just unlikely.
These are the secret ops orcs.
Yeah, I guess.
We then cut to, in my opinion, the best scene of the movie, where the couple from the tour earlier are kayaking down a river. The husband's just barking orders at his wife, and as they argue, a rogue arrow just pierces her heart, killing her instantly.
And she just lumps over, and it was that was a good part.
So matter of fact, just they're rowing down the river, and then done. She's dead.
And then he's yelling at her to keep paddling.
Yeah. He doesn't notice she's dead at all. Keeps yelling at her. Finally, she slumps backwards, revealing the arrow, and the husband starts screaming and paddling for his life.
His scream was hilarious.
It was.
I felt bad for that old lady.
So
She's just getting a bunch of shit from her stupid husband.
She didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Only to be taken out.
We cut back to Cal and Hobie, and Cal's smoking the teens' pot and eating all their snacks in a pot legitimacy test of sorts.
Right.
This is to establish Hobie's naivete.
Yes. So, it's at this point that I've realized that all the dialogue in this movie is going to be ADR. All of it. There hasn't been a single line spoken that was recorded on camera.
No, it didn't seem like it. There was definitely some syncing issues too.
Yeah. Hobie thinks that all the recent trouble can mean only one thing: field freak, swamp ape.
This is what endeared me to the character of Hobie. Was
the first place his mind went.
Immediately went to Bigfoot. Like, there's no other explanation. It's just Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Automatically.
If only he'd been like, "Hey Cal, have you heard of the phenomenon of forest brides?"
Look, I think it says more about y'all that y'all weren't aware of it.
Okay.
Just because your survival skills are a little lacking, and you don't know what can happen to you in the woods, you know?
Yeah. I'd be lying there dead after a Bigfoot attack and wishing I'd known about forest brides.
It's kind of like prison. You find yourself lost in the woods. First thing you do is either you beat up the biggest Bigfoot you find, or you become his bitch.
Yeah.
Then you're safe.
Yeah, well, that's one way of doing it.
At this point, Marge calls up and tells them that the toilets on the north end of the camp are staking up the whole park and that they need to go take care of it. So we cut back to the couple in the kayak to see that now they're both dead floating down the river. And the husband's riddled with a Boromir amount of arrows. He got it bad.
I will say this. This is one point that I thought about later that made me upset. Was they would be more accurate than that.
It was just
they tagged the wife with one shot.
Yeah.
But there was arrows all over the boat. There was all over him. So either he was like Boromir and could take a few arrows, which I doubt, or their aim was off, which I don't agree with either one of those.
Oh, I think this was a crime of passion. They just hated that dude. His scream was so annoying.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. You're right. We can move on.
Throw everything we can at him.
Yeah, no longer mad.
Cut to Cal and Hobie in town, loading up something into the truck.
It was the sand or whatever mixture it is that they put into the toilets.
Yeah,
it's like lime. I said lime or something.
That's what I thought maybe it was, but I wasn't gonna guess. Who knows?
No, take better notes.
Yeah. There's a single protester chanting about mining being bad. Just alone, walking the streets. She makes her way over to the Rangers, and we find out that this is Katie, and this is an old flame of Cal's, maybe?
Possibly.
Yeah. They have some kind of history, and she berates Cal about open cast mining being bad. Mining bad!
I don't know what they were trying to get across with her being, like, all by herself. It's just like, we got no money for actors, so she's by herself, or like her protest is illegitimate, or
we've got 5 legit actors in this movie, and everybody else is just the crew in orc costume.
Yeah,
it was probably like they're like, I think we've come up with enough of a backstory for this girl, so we don't want to come up with more in-depth backstories for more people.
Yeah,
but why'd they want to make her look like a loser?
Because she's in this movie.
I don't think that was their intention. I think that's just how it came out, because they could only get one protester. Because she proves to be quite capable.
Yeah, she's all right.
Later, back at the toilets, Cal and Hobie are unloading the truck, and Cal explains that Katie once tried to get him to help her steal documents to implicate a senator. Oh, right. Katie, that's just her. So we got all the layout we need for her character. Hobie's dumping shovelfuls of the white powder that they loaded up down the outhouse toilet until Cal tells him to hurry it up and finish because he's got to take a dump. After said dump, Cal shines his light down the toilet and lets out a girlish scream as he sees Edgar's dead, crap-covered face looking back up at him.
Which, that was funny, too. I definitely chuckled at that one.
Yeah.
See, this movie's fine.
It's fine.
So far, totally fine. So far, it's good in my mind.
Later, the authorities are removing the body. Cal and Hobie discuss what could have happened, and they pose a Tremors-esque theory that something chased him down into the toilet where he was trapped until he perished.
What a fucking way to go.
Cal thinks it was a bear, as there's claw marks all over the door. But Hobie's sticking to his Bigfoot guns, because a bear wouldn't scare him enough to climb into poop. I beg to differ. If there was a bear coming and poop is your only safe haven, you're going into poop.
The choice between Forest Bride or Crap Covered is there's really not much of a distinction for me. I'm nobody's Forest Bride.
I feel like I'd be the Forest Bride. I'm not climbing in there. I don't even like knowing that like there's just a hole full of shit, anywhere.
It's just yeah, I bet he'll treat me right.
Yeah. You know what? He seems like he's pretty nice.
He'll provide me with grubs and things that I need.
He'll probably at least like light a single candle, make it romantic.
Not at all.
Then the blood moon comes out and you're in real trouble.
Oh, jeez.
Hope you like fish.
I'll just be, again, I'll just be thinking about, well, at least I'm not dead in the shit.
And at this point, they're discussing this. Cal says all poor Edgar ever wanted to do was open a bake shop. So we desperately needed this backstory of Edgar and his hopes and dreams.
I didn't even catch that part.
Yeah.
Wait, so now you're complaining that they are giving you some backstory?
Yeah, you can't have it both
places.
Ways. You can't have it both ways, Chase.
Come on.
At this point, you're nitpicking.
So all he ever wanted to do was open a bake shop, and now he died neck deep in other people's turds. What a waste.
That was a good line. It was a good line.
So back at the station, Marge is giving Edgar's eulogy over the PA, and she says that he died doing what he loved.
Man liked to clean the shitter. What can we say?
Because they do point out earlier that was Edgar's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, they just had a scene where Cal was talking about how much Edgar hated this job.
I wonder why.
Well, I mean, most people don't talk about, what was she supposed to say? Edgar died, and it's probably for the best because he hated being here anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you usually say nice things.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame he was wasting his life in a job he hated.
Yeah, she turns around here in a minute and says that, Edgar was absolutely no loss at all. This is after she introduces Cal and Hobie to Dan, who's come to collect a urine sample from Cal in a pop piss test. As he leaves with the cup, Mark tells him to make sure it's urine and not sperm, because Cal. Cal returns with the cup and gives it to Dan, and he remarks, "Don't drink it all at once, because this movie's doing its best to be as vile as possible. In the last 5 minutes, we've gotten a lengthy discussion of poop, turds, sperm, urine, and the drinking of said urine."
It's classic.
And no orcs really yet.
No. It's
Still
gonna
so
be
many
a while.
Lord of the Rings references, though.
No. You don't remember that part where the hobbits were giving a eulogy for some other hobbit that died in the shitter?
No. I can honestly tell you, no. I do not remember that.
That
Not
was right at
saying
the
it didn't
beginning.
happen.
That was during Bilbo's 111th birthday.
It could have been. There's a lot of shit that goes on in them books. It's hard to keep up with.
One of the Proudfoots died in the shitter.
Proud feet. Shit. Such a nerd.
I baited you into that one.
You did.
So, Cal says that, those tests give off a 50% false positive, so don't write me off yet, Marge. But Marge says, Edgar wasn't any loss at all, and you'll be even less of one, Cal, when we get rid of you. Cal demands that he get some weapons because there's a bear on the loose. Marge keeps the key on her and only gives them a tranq rifle and some pepper spray and says, "You'll get this key out of my cold, dead hands."
Now, does Daisy make a tranquilizer rifle?
Apparently they do now.
That was definitely a BB gun.
Well, and they didn't even go to any lengths to hide it. I mean, she put it down in the close-up in frame with the Daisy logo up, just right there.
Yeah, I was saying, she's giving him a BB gun to be funny, but no, it's a tranq gun.
Well,
but then I was like, okay, so all the guns in this movie are going to be BB guns, but later on they get some pretty realistic looking guns. So
they did.
I don't know what was going on there.
I will say this: whenever she said that you'll have to pry it out of my cold dead hands or whatever, I immediately sent Chase a text talking about foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because
this movie's subtle as a heart attack.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, could it be that they are going to have to do that? I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. Sort of. They couldn't even do the foreshadow right.
No. So later, Cal and Hobie are putting up bear warning signs, as Hobie says that it's the perfect conditions for a Bigfoot encounter. The sun's going down, the fog's coming in. We get a little more orc vision, so they're being watched, as they spot a big footprint, lending more credibility to Hobie's theory. Hobie follows the tracks into the woods, and Cal follows. Hobie says that, Bigfoot gets skittish around dark, so we got to be careful. And they stumble upon an orc banner flag thing in the woods.
Yeah, I don't know what that was supposed to be. But...
Well, Cal quickly kicks it down as another orc's watching him through orc vision, and I thought, this is avalanche sharks all over again.
I was going to say he's unleashing snookums.
When you find a weird totem in the woods, don't kick it over, don't shoot a mortar cannon at it, just leave it the hell alone.
That's right.
So, that night, back at the Rangers' quarters, Hobie's fantasizing about being a narwhal, as Cal fantasizes about Hawaii and being transferred there, so that the native girls can feed him coconuts as they dance in their coconut bikinis. Hobie wants to go work at Yosemite or Yellowstone, but Cal says, the big parks are nothing but work and sexual harassment suits. Oh, Cal.
Oh, Cal.
Cal looks at a picture of Zeke, the ranger from the beginning, on the wall and remarks that, rangers were real rangers back then. We cut back to the teens in the woods, being teens, reading Elf Hunter.
Which, not a real book, I don't think.
Blake would know.
Definitely not part of the Tolkien universe. And it wasn't even an elf on the...
well,
on the
it's
cover.
an elf. It's the Elf Hunter.
Yeah,
so it's a book about orcs?
Yes.
I guess. Okay. That'll work.
So, one of the teens is reading Elf Hunter in his tent while the other two are doing their thing in the other tent. He yells at him to keep it quiet, and just then an orc sword slashes open his tent, and he's killed off screen as blood spatters all over Elf Hunter.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that we still haven't seen a goddamn orc.
Yes.
Cal wakes up to drums in the distance, drums in the deep, and he runs outside.
Asshole.
He yells into his megaphone that those damn teens better keep it down, and he draws his gun, and the drums finally stop after all of that. And from here on out, I can never tell when we're supposed to think that the characters can hear the drums, and when the drums are just the ambiance music.
It did get confusing.
Cal returns to his quarters, passes out. First, the picture of Zeke's fallen down in his rush to get outside, and he hangs it back up. Then he passes out. The next morning, he wakes up and stares at the picture of Zeke that he put back up, and the picture changes expressions.
Yes.
Distinctly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
I think it was Zeke trying to tell him, you need to get this shit under control.
Yeah, come on, Cal.
Reaching out from the past.
Yes.
Don't be a Cal. Be a Hobie. This gives him the nerve to prove that he's a worthy ranger. So he wakes up Hobie, and they plan to rid the park of the bear before the piss test comes back in 24 hours. But first, we got to go deal with those teens. So back at the teen camp.
Doesn't he call them devil worshippers at one point?
Probably. He went off into strings of adjectives several times.
Yeah.
In this movie. All slurred and too fast for me to pick out. Back at the teen camp, blood on the rocks, the camp's in shambles. Still thinking it's a bear, but they're hopeful that the teens escaped. Hobie murders a chipmunk as they continue to search.
Dude, he's a goddamn Annie Oakley over there.
It was a good shot.
They hear a stick snap, he spins, opens fire, and nails a chipmunk out of a tree.
Just one shot. Boom.
Kudos to them for showing a curled up little chipmunk on the ground, too.
With a syringe sticking out of it.
Yeah, they could have left that alone, like just left it to your imagination, but they actually went through the trouble.
Yeah, they went the 9 yards with that shot.
Yeah.
They continue their search, and they stumble upon a gang of orcs walking through the woods. We're finally going to see some orcs, kind of. Cal thinks it's the teens messing around until they spot one of the teens' heads on a spike. So they, again, more girlish screams as they flee back to the truck. And arrows are flying at them from the orcs. We are now 26 minutes into the movie, and we haven't seen a single orc face yet. Cal thinks that there's just maniacs on the loose, killing people, and we're going to leave Marge in the dark about all this, and we're going to handle it ourselves to, get our rep back. They decide to split up to evacuate the park. One goes east, one goes west, so what? This guy's like, what do you want from me?
That's a good one. I like that.
Hobie takes an ATV and starts screaming at people about bloodthirsty murderers are coming and they should go far, far away because they killed some teenagers that were doing drugs, but I think that they were good, good people down in their hearts.
I thought this was pretty funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part too.
Cal, meanwhile, makes a beeline to the girls he was hitting on from earlier, tells them to evacuate. As the last tourists leave the park, Cal and Hobie are thinking that they got everybody until Cal remembers, oh, the golf course. So back at the golf course, there's a trio of golfers, and they spot an orc just running across the golf course, just scoping things out. To which one of the golfers runs up, "Hey, jackass! Get off the fairway!" in the most extreme close-up possible.
This is also pretty funny. I mean, some douche yelling at an orc to get off the fairway.
Calling an orc a jackass has a certain, certain something to it as well.
So we gotta assume the orc didn't appreciate that.
No.
We cut back to Cal and Hobie. They're on their way to the golf course, and Cal said, "No, don't worry about the golfers. They've got their clubs to protect them." But as they arrive, all the clubs are bent and smashed, and the bags are destroyed. And here we go with the first scene that they might as well just done shot for shot from Lord of the Rings.
This is when it all started.
Where Hobie starts getting, just develops these tracking senses, where he kneels down and he's feeling the grass, and a golfer lay here. They crawled this way, and they're doing the cuts to the blue filtered quick cuts of the golfers fighting the orcs. And
it was two towers. That's what it was.
Hobie's got that Batman detective vision.
The tracks lead away from the battle. What battle?
Because they had to say it. That's why.
So Cal spots a shoe sticking out of the sand trap, pulls it out, see there's a foot in it. He gags and draws his gun and points it at the foot while he's holding it. I thought that was funny. They then follow the tracks to the edge of Fangorn Forest, and Marge gives them a call, wanting to know why they evacuated the park. Hobie says, we really don't have any choice here. We got to go back and save Marge. And Cal decides, let's save Marvin first. And as they're leaving, they find a golf ball with an orc tooth in it.
Which is weird.
That's weird, yeah.
He was chomping down on a golf ball for reasons.
Yeah, it just really didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's well known in the books that orcs hate golf balls, so...
Well, I thought what was going to happen, instead of the golfer yelling, "Hey, jackass," I thought whenever he came out, they were just going to start hitting balls at him. Yeah. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Which would have been better.
And then he could have got a ball, hit him in the mouth, got a tooth.
There you go.
Why do that when we can do this instead?
Yeah.
They arrive at Marvin's shop, find it destroyed, blood everywhere. Cal finds Marvin behind the counter, where it looks like he was just unzipped open. They just got a bloody slab of prosthetic makeup and just kind of tucked it underneath his sweater.
Yeah, just set it on top of him.
To make it look like he was sliced open. They hear something in the next room, open the door, and there's an orc munching on the ring-dings.
Yeah.
It attacks. They try to barricade him in the back. It breaks loose. As it approaches Cal and Hobie, Marge shows up and shoots it dead. And when I say shoots it dead, she shoots it exclusively in the armor, where little tiny animated poofs spring out of it, which kill it.
Which is the common way of killing orcs in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shoot them in the armor, and only the armor.
That was pretty frustrating. That they just get shot in the armor and they die. It's weird.
Yeah. That's why I was saying this movie should be G-rated.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
As Marge is questioning the Rangers about what's going on, she gets stabbed from behind by an orc. She offers one last insult to the Rangers that's so Marge, and the orcs attack. Hobie shoots it in the neck with the tranq gun, and it drops unconscious.
See, Hobie's got that. He's a good shot, man.
Yeah,
he hits it right between the goddamn chainmail.
Cal pulls off its helmet, revealing that it's an orc. The first actual orc face 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, and it was a cheap cheap effect, but it actually wasn't that bad looking.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the last orc face we see.
No.
More on that later. Cal decides that they need to flee the park entirely, and they try to drive out of the park, which only has one exit, I guess.
Yes.
And the orcs have barricaded the road, and they stand there behind their barricade going, ooh, ga, ooh, ga, ooh, ga.
And this is, I started getting upset with that too.
The classic orc chant.
No. They're not mindless, stupid, like, they're not stupid creatures. They're smart.
What does ooga, ooga, ooga mean in the black speech, Blake?
Well, first off, it means nothing. And they wouldn't do that anyway. If they were going to set up a barricade, it would have been like a real deal trap. Where they would have set something in the road and they would have had to come out and then they would have ambushed them. Orcs are very much ambush fighters.
Get it together, orcs. This movie doesn't... Yeah, it's inaccurate. It's inaccurate. That's the worst thing you can say about it.
To the factual nature of orcs.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Cal throws the truck into reverse and they speed away as the orcs pursue. Hobie opens fire and takes out one of the orcs. That as he drops down, his helmet comes off, and you can see that it's just some dude.
That stuntman went all in, though.
I went back and freeze framed that to make sure, and yeah, it's just some dude.
Well, I didn't catch that, and I'm glad I didn't.
He fell in with the wrong crowd.
It's fine. It's fine, because he committed to that. He bit it hard when he fell. Yeah. So you gotta commend that man.
Yeah. One of the blanks ejected out of the gun and actually hit him. So that wasn't acting.
Yeah. He's actually dead.
He's actually dead, that guy.
Some movie's dedicated to that guy.
And that was the end of Brandon Lee.
Oh.
Too soon? Apparently. Shit.
That's my wound that never closes.
So, an orc climbs up onto the bed of the truck, and Cal climbs out to fight it.
Did y'all notice the hands on this orc?
I did not.
Okay. It's literally wearing those black gloves that have the skeleton fingers on it. That's what he's wearing. Because when I saw that, I'm sitting there just like, what the hell? Like, give him some gloves, not that.
They didn't spray paint him or anything?
No, it was just the straight up skeleton hand gloves. Like, they went to Party City and bought
the
these
Spirit
things.
Halloween store.
Yeah, this is exactly what happened.
Excuse me, it was Spirit.
Oh, sorry.
Spirit comes and takes over all the abandoned circuit cities.
It's funny because it's true. But yeah, he had on stupid gloves.
He whacks at it with the shovel a few times, gets tangled up, gets his pepper spray and sprays the orc. It falls off the back of the truck. Hobie, distracted by this brawl, runs the truck off the road and flips the truck off screen, mind you. We're not paying for a truck.
Yeah, we ain't got truck flipping money.
So Cal wakes up in the middle of the road, sees the orcs closing in, gets to his feet, pulls Hobie out of the wrecked truck, but Hobie stops to go back for his wallet. There was no reason for this whatsoever.
Man needs his wallet, Chase. Yeah. Shit.
Jesus, Chase. You know what an inconvenience it is to lose your wallet?
Yeah. I'm with you. Come on, dude. You go back and get your wallet, too.
There's orcs, gentlemen.
No, it's not. It's dudes in costumes.
If you're willing to climb into a poop chute, you're willing to abandon your wallet.
I guess you're right.
I'm saying you get out of there alive, and then you got a whole nother world of problems.
Oh, man. Yep.
You gotta go to the DMV, you gotta, cancel your credit cards. I mean...
I eluded the forces of Mordor, but now I gotta take care of that Chevron card I lost.
Let me tell you something. If you think the forces of Mordor ain't above stealing your identity, they'll do it.
Look, he had a sandwich card that was like one punch away from a free sandwich.
The Witch King's going to be dining on Jersey Mike's tonight. So
he went back and got his wallet, obviously.
Yeah. The Rangers flee into the woods as the Orcs follow. There's a traditional orc feet stepping over a log shot that's in every movie with orcs ever.
Which it was splitting them. It was only 2 orcs actually ran across the log.
They just kept going behind the camera, doubling back.
No, they
just run in circles.
you could see the camera stop, and it played that same thing over.
So they couldn't even get them to circle around.
No, it was just a clip played back to back.
So
it just hadn't occurred to them until they were editing. Like, shit, it'd be cool if we had 2 more orcs go over this log.
yeah, just double it back. What's this movie really missing? 2 more orcs over the log.
Yeah.
An orc gets the drop on Cal and Hobie, and just then, an arrow with a stick of dynamite tied to it lands at the orc's feet. Cal and Hobie leap a few inches away as it explodes, killing the orc in a very Kevin Sorbo's Adventures of Hercules sort of way, where they just kind of flips away from it and he's dead.
Just a little poof.
Speaking of Kevin Sorbo, after the show, I have to tell you all about how Kevin Sorbo wanted to kill me one time.
I think that warrants a little bonus track.
Yeah. So, it might.
Yeah, so keep a lookout on our social channels, folks. We might put that up.
Yeah.
If you want to find out how Kevin Sorbo tried to kill Blake.
So we find that it's Katie, and she's decked out with orc weapons and explains that she was headed to the uranium mine to blow it up when she was attacked by an orc. She killed it and took its weapons.
These orcs must be the C squad. I mean,
fucking F troop of Mordor.
Yeah, it's just like these randos can take out a bunch of orcs.
Well, the first, to me, I'm like, oh god, is she Legolas? Is she Legolas? Yeah, she's Legolas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only about 25 orcs total in this orc army. Most of them max out at about 5'4".
They're pretty small.
So Cal again wants everyone to escape the park, but Katie says that Hobie's too hurt to make it, and they suggest they go back to the ranger station because the guns are there anyway. Until Cal realizes that Marge still has the key.
The cold, dead hands.
They go back to Marvin's shop and find Marge's body. Cal goes rummaging around in her drawers to find the key. When he notices that the tranquilized orc from earlier is gone. It attacks and pins Cal to the ground. Hobie picks up its sword and stabs it through the back of the neck, showering Cal with its blood. That just keeps on a-coming.
So this is some old school Sam Raimi shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was comical. I didn't mind this. It was good.
No.
Yeah.
I like the part where he's trying to get the key from Marge. He's like, well, because Hobie suggests that maybe it's in her bra, and Cal gets all grossed out, like he doesn't want to touch Marge's old tits. They don't show any of it. It's pretty.
You
subtle.
know who
it's
wouldn't
subtle.
pass up a chance to touch Marge's old tits?
Oh, who?
John.
Yeah, that's who I thought.
So, key in hand, they meet up with Katie outside and head out for the station. As they're traveling, Katie and Hobie are discussing what the orcs are and where they came from. Katie suggests that it's a government experiment gone wrong and likens them to the human-ape hybrid program done by Stalin in the 1920s.
I guess that's possible, Kate. Why not?
Why not? Hobie says that maybe they came through a wormhole, or it's possible that they've always been in the mountain. They stumble over a body of a dead golfer as Cal hears the orcs coming. Here we go again, folks. Get off the road!
Oh, God. And I told Chase I really wasn't mad at this movie till the end, and until I went back and thought about things, and this made me mad.
Yeah,
because number one, it's not even the same circumstances, but you're still gonna rip it off anyway.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they get off the road, they hide like kind of under the road, the way Frodo and them did, and all the orcs run past them.
Yeah,
but it wasn't orcs that ran past the hobbits. So it doesn't make sense.
That's true.
It's true. So
movie's fucking up all over the place.
That plays out. They're hiding under, like an upturned kind of tree root ledge.
At least insects didn't start coming out from everywhere. Then,
At least Hobie didn't pull out a magic ring and almost put it on.
Ay.
So they manage to sneak away and make it back to the station. Cal gets on the radio to call for help, but it's all garbled. Until they notice that the TV's on and there's news coverage of orcs attacking the nearby town. So this isn't an isolated thing to the park. They're spilling out. And in that thing that they mentioned that they're trying to get the armed forces mobilized to deal with this. Now, keep all that in mind. That the orcs are outside the park attacking shit, and they're trying to get the army involved. Because they don't play out that way. Hobie then realizes that he lost his trusty notebook full of useful orc knowledge. Oh, and also the key to the gun room.
Yeah, we all got one of those notebooks, right?
Yeah. A little notebook full of cartoons.
Filled with orc knowledge.
So Cal decides that he's got to get out and go for help. But Katie accuses him of only wanting to save himself, and he leaves anyway. Katie stays behind with Hobie. She tells Hobie that she's sure that Cal is not coming back for them. Meanwhile, Cal, moving through the woods, finds Hobie's notebook full of goofy little drawings of the two of them on their many adventures.
Oh, that's so cute.
And this sparks a sentimental note with Cal. Katie and Hobie find Dan, the piss tester, crying in the back room of the station.
Did anybody notice the blunder on closed caption with this, too?
I did not.
Okay. Whenever Hobie says, "It's Dan, the pickup man," the subtitles say, "Hey, it's Dan, the pickup man."
The pickup man.
Aww.
Yeah, we only did one pass on the captions for this. Close enough. Katie decides to take matters into her own hands and tries picking the lock of the gun room with a paper clip. But just then Cal returns with the key and gets an undeserved slap from Katie. I mean, he came back.
Yeah.
That was one of those, I love you so much, I'm gonna slap you.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers that time that Legolas slapped Aragorn whenever he went away for too long.
Yeah, when he fell off the cliff fighting the wargs and came back, he just hauled up and slapped him the second he saw him.
He did, and looked at him seductively.
Don't you ever do that to me again.
So he gives Hobie his notes back and opens up the gun room. God bless those NRA libertarian crazies with their weapons of mass destruction.
Right. And I was like, hey. Well, okay, I guess that's valid.
Who's he talking about, though?
I don't know.
I mean, it's the Rangers stash.
He's just making commentary.
I was offended for 2 seconds, but then I was like, well, you do have an arsenal in your house, Blake.
Is that like weapons that they've confiscated from people in the park, maybe?
No, man, federal agency.
It's just, that's a good question.
They gotta have that for whenever they decide to take you over.
That's right.
See? Man made a point in the movie.
Speaking of crazies. But yeah, they got none of these weapons are like, standard issue, like...
Oh, there's Uzis and,
AK-47s.
There's AKs and,
Not only... and they had, like drum mags, too. Like, it was like some serious shit.
They were prepared for a siege.
Yeah, of your personal property. Taxation is theft.
Okay, before we get too off topic here.
I was wondering when this was going to happen.
So, Hobie figures out that the symbols drawn on the rocks in the park are telling of battles with the Orcs back in ancient times. And they discern from this that the Orcs are afraid of light. Now, up to this point, 100% of the Orc shots have been in broad daylight.
Right. Yeah.
All right, you found a flaw.
So are these the special Orc Goblin hybrids, the Urukai, who can run in the daylight?
No.
Do they wear the white hand of Saruman?
No, they don't. Because that would just be silly. But no, they were always in the daytime, which...
If it turned out Christopher Lee was behind all of it, again, would
then
make
this
the
would
movie
be an
much
awesome
better.
movie. Like, there'd be nothing wrong with this movie at all.
Christopher Lee just straight up showed up in the Saruman outfits.
Like, no, just at the, whenever he's sending them all in, if they just have a shot from Isengard and he's on top of the tower, like, oh, well, okay, this is great. This is a good movie.
Meanwhile, a few miles away,
yeah.
there's a brief gearing up montage as they load up with weapons and they affix spotlights to the roof of the station. And they stand waiting for the Orcs to come, and Dan accidentally turns on the PA and music bursts out over the speakers. They cut it off, but it's too late as the drumming starts up again. The Orcs emerge.
Is this a reference to the Mines of Moria?
The drums
yes.
itself, definitely.
Let's just say yes.
Yeah, when he said the drums in the deep thing, that's what they're talking about.
The Orcs line up on the edge of the woods with some more ooga, ooga.
Yeah.
The Orc leader walks up onto a rock, a la Helm's Deep.
Which was very well done. That looked like an orc.
Yeah. The Rangers line up on the roof, and Dan accidentally opens fire, killing an Orc, and silence falls across the Orc ranks, a la Helm's Deep.
This was Helm's Deep over again.
The Orc leader lets out a cry, and the Orcs charge in Benny Hill fast motion. It was just taking them a little too long to get there, so we gotta speed this shot up a little bit.
Well, they couldn't see through those shitty costumes.
Yeah. They got all this loose fabric, man. Someone's gonna trip.
Yeah.
All
these one-size-fits-all costumes.
The Rangers open fire, bullets and dynamite arrows flying out. They shine the spotlights on the Orcs, stunning them and mow them down as they're stunned. As the Orcs are falling down dead, they're very careful to brace their falls, as they're not getting paid enough for this shit.
That's why that other guy was such a hero.
When they fall over, you can clearly see the treads of their hiking boots underneath the coverings of their orc boots.
Yes, yeah, I did catch that one.
They drive the wave of orcs back into the woods, but the drums start up again, though, and wave 2 comes out. This time the orcs take aim at the lights and shoot them all out with arrows. An orc manages to get by Kate and prison shanks Dan, just pulls them in close and...
That was dirty.
It was.
They tumble off the roof. Cal jumps down to help him, helps him up to get him back inside, and it's a good thing that all the orcs are running in slow motion now, or else they would have caught up to him. Cal brings him inside, and they push back the second wave. Dan, dying, asks for his briefcase, and he gives Cal his urine back. Don't drink it all at once, and then he dies.
That's funny.
He needed to give it back to him. It's not making it to the facility.
Well, I guess you're right.
So he could pour it out later in Dan's memory.
So they barricade themselves in as the drums start up once again. Hobie tries to get an all for one and one for all thing going, but Cal shoots him down. Cal turns on the PA to get the orcs to come rolling back. and there's an orc killing montage set to the sweet crooning music of whatever that was that they were playing.
Yeah, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, that was like I had to check the credits for this later because, you know, just for knowledge. And it was an original song.
They made for this.
Yeah.
Why? That's where the budget went.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to pay this crooner.
It was actually Christopher Lee.
Now, was this was like a, I don't know, I'm guessing a reference to maybe Snyder's Dawn of the Dead or something?
Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, just a thought.
Why not?
It's just all terrible Lord of the Rings parallels.
Yeah.
Hobie gets overwhelmed. Cal comes to the rescue. But Kate calls out that these orcs are up to something new as they come running up with a battering ram, a la Helm's Deep.
Just like Helm's Deep.
They manage to kill all the orcs, carrying it before he can get to the front door. And Cal instructs Katie to use her last explosive arrow on the orc leader. She hits him dead in the chest, but he pulls the arrow out and pinches out the fuse.
And when he does that, my heart sank. Because I knew what was about to happen.
Yep. A la Helm's Deep, that stick of dynamite gets given to a suicide bomber orc who comes running up all on his lonesome. They try to stop him, but he makes it to the station where he leaps into the door and blows up the station, which does not much damage at all to anything.
But he even did the dive. Like,
yeah, he did.
It was the same exact dive from the movie.
Tells you what device can bring down the wall.
Yeah.
A shitty stick of dynamite that barely does anything. So the orcs charge in as Cal wakes up amongst the shattered glass. Lots of slow motion screaming and firing and little poofs of smoke as they all get shot in their armor. Hobie then gets chopped in the stomach by an orc. Hang on. Let me rephrase that. Carl and Katie flat out let an orc run right up to Hobie and chop him in the stomach.
Right.
Then there's the whole, that I like to call the gladiator moment, where all the sound drops out, and there's just a single woman singing, wailing in the background as Cal tries to save Hobie, and it's just, it's way more dramatic than it needs to be.
It had, and this is where I started, was I overanalyzing it, trying to find the parallels of Lord of the Rings. But like, I didn't know if this was like whenever the elf that came to help at Helm's Deep when he died, because he got cut by a sword and they held him and sound dropped out and all that.
Yeah,
probably.
That's it.
I don't remember that elf's name.
That's exactly it.
There's an elf whose name you don't remember?
Well, for good reason. Because in the books, the elves never came to Helm's Deep. That was just something they put in the movie.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson strikes again.
From there, they retreat into the back room where Hobie tells another little Lord of the Rings thing. Tell me about the strawberries and cream. Tell me about the coconuts, how? So they do the whole Frodo's last moments on Mount Doom thing.
Yeah.
See, I thought this was... I thought it was a reference to, like, Of Mice and Men.
It could have been that, too. It could have been that, too.
Probably not, though.
So Cal tells them about Hawaii and the native girls feeding them coconuts and that, Hobie, you're going there with me, so you can't die yet. So they retreat into the crawl base beneath the station. The orcs follow them down there.
Which, once again, me reading too much into it, could have been the glittering caves.
Yeah.
But probably not. It's how some people escaped from Helm's Deep.
But maybe.
Through the glittering caves.
So Cal tells Katie that he loves her, and they share a kiss before he instructs her to take Hobie and run for the hills. Cal shoots the gas line under the building and tries to make an escape, but he's grabbed by one of the orcs, and the building explodes as Katie and Hobie look on in horror. Cal then emerges from the rubble, just a little dirty, no big deal. He was just under an exploding building. As he walks towards Katie and Hobie, the orc leader rises up out of the rubble and attacks. They struggle as Katie runs up to help, picking up one of the fallen orc's swords and slicing the leader across his back. It really looked like she chopped him in half.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
I thought for sure that's what happened. But no. Cal uses this as an opportunity to pick up a chain and disarms the orc leader. And then he picks up the orc sword and chops his head off. And he delivers the line, "Stay the hell out of my park."
Boo.
From here, we cut to Hawaii, as Cal's giving a tour of his newly appointed Hawaiian park, and the tourists all know him as the one that defeated the orc army.
Right.
So did all the orc army come back to the park and attack the ranger station? Because we saw them out in the world doing shit.
Well, yeah,
well, they knew him because he defeated the orc leader.
Okay, Blake, are they vampires? When you beat the leader, the rest of them all just drop?
No, but I'd assume it's a head of a snake situation, you know. After that, there'd probably be a lot of infighting and they're unorganized at that point. Orcs don't get along with each other unless there's structure. We saw that in the Two Towers.
We saw that, but
they'll straight up eat each other.
Those were like different clans of orcs, though.
Meat's
this is
back
all
on
the same
menu,
group.
Boys.
They're asking questions about that, and then Cal brings in Hobie, who's the resident orc expert, to fill in all the tourists about all their orc questions. Save your damn questions for the end of the damn tour. And as Cal walks off, Hobie starts talking about the legend of the Menehune people, and they're about 2 feet tall and very shy and live in the woods.
Yeah, I kind of pushed my keyboard away angrily at that point.
So hobbits are native to Hawaii.
Yeah, pretty much.
Katie comes up to Cal and says that she's been off scaring off the golf course developers from the park, still being a terrorist.
Right. Well, everybody remembers at the end of Return of the King, whenever Aragorn becomes king and Legolas walks up to him in a bikini. And
yeah, they make out. And...
Yeah. Very famous scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legolas asks Aragorn, "How's it feel to be a park ranger in paradise?" And Aragorn looks at Legolas and says, "A lot like you." Perfect.
It's word for word what happened on Return of the King. Unless I'm remembering it wrong.
Yeah. Instead of ending the movie 10 times, they just did that. That was the original cut. So then, it's not over. It's not over yet. We cut to a cave in the Hawaiian jungle. And as we peer inside, somebody shoves a crappy orc mask up into the camera. Now it's over.
Yeah.
Thank God.
See, there was more than one ending.
Just like Return of the King.
Yep.
Yeah.
All those endings were necessary, folks. I don't care what you say.
Every last one of them.
They were all necessary.
Oh, so that was Orcs. Bluch.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not the worst one. It's definitely not the worst movie.
It's not the worst one, but it's a far cry from Desert Heat, my friends.
Dude, I
totally
know I'm
agree
gonna
with
catch
that.
shit for this, but I liked it more than Desert Heat.
Boo.
No.
Forever boo. I'm gonna get a Desert Heat tattoo.
Oh my God.
Can I tell you that after we recorded the show, I have watched Desert Heat since then?
I've wanted to. I haven't gotten an opportunity, but I will.
I have watched it.
That movie is fantastic.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
You are.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, we got that little fun bit out of the way. So now...
Yep, let's get to it.
It's been all fun and games, but we got to get down to business.
Yes, sir.
So it's quiz time. This week, I will be asking the 5 questions based on Orcs that John and Blake will have to answer. The host that gets the most questions correct gets the honor of being quizmaster of the next episode, and we'll be watching either Blake.
What was it called?
I have no idea.
Wait. Let me go back to my notes. Holler Creek Canyon is what it's called.
Holler Creek Canyon or
Robo War.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Robo War.
Not bad.
In case of a tiebreaker question will be asked. The first host to shout out the answer wins. However, if you answer incorrectly, you lose. Let's begin, gentlemen. Are we ready?
I am ready.
Okay. I've got 9 questions.
Oh boy.
So, let's see. How do I want to break this up? Okay. Question number 1. And I don't want to hear any shit about this question either. What is the brand of the lights on top of the Ranger truck?
I remember it because I knew. I said I would ask that question.
Are you kidding me?
They only held on it for about 5 minutes.
I know, but fuck, I don't know.
I'm so happy.
It was the only thing to look at during that scene.
Exactly.
Okay. Question number 2. What was Marge's number designation on the radio?
Dude, me and you would have come up with the same exact questions.
Question number 3. What is on the dash of Cal's Ranger truck?
Uh-oh. Oh, I remember!
Question number 4. What is the license plate number of Cal's truck?
God damn it.
Don't know that one for damn sure.
Last question. How many bullets does Cal have left when he's under the station?
Oh, damn it. No clue. Well, I know I got 3.
All right, gentlemen, pencils down. Now, we can't rule out that Blake might just throw this whole thing so we can watch the Super Mario Brothers Predator special.
Oh, no, it's Bigfoot time, baby.
We'll see what happens. Okay, question 1. What is the brand of lights on top of the Ranger truck?
Street Hawk.
I got nothing.
It was Street Hawk. What was Marge's number designation on the radio?
202.
202.
All right. 202. What is on the dash of Cal's Ranger truck?
A hula dancer.
Oh, I guessed and I got hula dancer.
All right, hula girl. Yeah. 3-2. What is the license plate of Cal's truck?
No clue.
Yeah, no fucking idea.
What? It was 299YX. Final question. John, you've got to get this to tie, and Blake's got to miss it.
I think I know this one.
How many bullets did Cal have left under the station?
I'm going to say 5, but that's a guess.
3.
3.
Shit.
We are tied.
Shit.
Time for the tiebreaker question. I'm
So it's first, whoever says it first, right?
Whoever says it first, but you have to say the correct answer. If you say the wrong answer, you automatically lose.
Got it.
Okay. So, for the tiebreaker question, what is the name of the park in Hawaii that Cal wants to be transferred to?
Oh my god.
Uh-oh. If neither of you get it, I gotta move to another one.
You're gonna have to move to another one because I have no clue.
I don't remember.
Yeah, if you both refuse to yell out an answer in case of being wrong, I guess I gotta move on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an easy one. So be ready.
Okay.
What rank are both Cal and Marge?
Couldn't even finish the question. I knew that one too.
GS9 is the correct answer.
I was just waiting to hear rank. That's all I needed to hear was rank.
The other 2 questions I could have said were, well, first of all, Hanalei Bay was the Hawaiian park.
Oh yeah.
What was the year of the Stephen T. Miller quote?
Was
1938.
No, it was 1909.
No, the first scene of the movie was 1909.
Oh, I don't know then.
Yeah, it was 1938.
Oh.
Damn it! Give me that shit.
And my other question was, how far away is the nearest help outside of the park, according to Katie?
Was it 20 miles?
20 miles.
Okay.
So that's it. We're going back to big feats. As frightening a prospect as that is.
Proud feet.
Killing me.
No Italian
I can't
predator.
beat Blake. I
I was
can't
about
beat
to say,
Blake.
I'm his kryptonite, man.
That's true. That is true. So now, because we were all tied up pretty much in the standings.
Oh, that puts me back up in the lead.
Blake is in first. I stay the same in second because I don't have the loss ticked up that
Does
John
my
has.
bonus question still count as a correct answer?
Yes.
Like the tiebreaker thing?
Yes.
Ooh, so I got 4 tonight.
You got 4 tonight added to your total. So, yeah. Blake, for some reason, is just smoking John every time they go up against each other.
This one was pretty close, though.
Yeah, this
It
one's
was. It was. I definitely didn't run away with it.
No.
Man, I wanted to watch Robo War.
Well, you can
Why
watch
don't
it
you
on your
bother
own
making
time.
picks anymore, man?
When
Just
you
start
make
picking,
them,
start picking Bigfoot movies, and I'll eventually run out of them, I guess.
yeah. When you make them, they get taken away from you.
Yeah.
When you legit win them.
I forgot about
Just
that.
never. Yeah. Why do I even bother showing up with a pick anymore?
John hasn't picked a movie in 6 fucking weeks.
I mean, I know that my one pick that actually made it is the lowest performing episode, so I'm sure it's all a conspiracy to keep me from getting another one.
The way I'm reading it is your job's on the bubble there, buddy.
Oh my god. So, oh man. Okay. I will say, John, I'm legit upset we're not watching your movie because I think that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, well,
Even if it would have been just us, recapping Predator in a stupid Super Mario voice.
we can do that in our spare time, but now we got to watch a Bigfoot movie with Ron Jeremy in it that isn't a porn. One thing
Morty.
I can say about myself is I make us watch insufferable movies.
Yes, you do. You make two things you can say. You make us watch insufferable movies, and we often have to make new rules after we watch them.
We might have to have a new rule after this one. Who knows?
No Ron Jeremy's.
Oh, man.
So happy.
I was hoping. So in the climax here, Hobie's got the Uzi, and I didn't bring it up during the discussion because I was hoping it was a question. I don't know, it'd be a stupid question, but it's like, where were the muzzle flashes coming from?
From the top. There's a reason for that.
What is the reason?
Because, okay, when you're shooting a Uzi, when you hold down that trigger, that's where it's kind of like the term spray and pray. Because the recoil on it is going to make it's called muzzle climb. So your muzzle is going to constantly be raising up as you're shooting. But if they make the energy expel out the top, that helps keep the muzzle down.
Okay. Interesting.
Crazy libertarian.
So that's something they got right in the movie.
Oh, it was right. Like,
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Well,
It just looked so weird.
It does, but it's a thing.
Okay.
there you go.
There's our education.
Don't say
for the
don't say you don't learn anything listening to this podcast, folks.
If anything you've learned about muzzle climb and taxation is theft this episode.
Oh man. Okay, well, there it is.
God damn it!
Blake's
You're
victorious
annoying,
once.
man.
Blake is victorious once again, and we will be watching.
Dude, I put hours into like looking for a movie. Every time. I put in work. Blake was like, I don't know, some fucking Bigfoot movie, I don't care.
Yeah, that's where you're going wrong. I do the same thing. I'll look at like the movie that we just watched, and then I'll look at the recommendations, and I'll pick one. It's usually gold.
Let me make you really pissed off. I decided that movie like 20 minutes before we started recording.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I didn't even watch the trailer.
I watched like 30 different trailers.
Why?
Because I was looking for the right movie, man. I don't know.
Well, welcome to my season 1. This is how I felt all season 1.
We'd like to thank everybody that's been listening. If you could take some time out of your day and leave us a review on iTunes, we'd appreciate it. While you're there, subscribe. You can get all our latest episodes. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Garbage Theater. Follow us on Twitter at @garbage_theater. We're going to be putting up all the we can go ahead and put up those memes. Those Super Mario memes.
Oh, they're still coming. Oh, they're happening.
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing now. Also, if there's a movie that you want to suggest to us, we'd love to know. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, email at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. We will see you next week for another episode of Coming Attractions, where John and I will present 2 new movies.
Yeah, just you. I'm not even going to bring one.
John's not going to be so enthusiastic about it this time.
If you want, I'll pick a movie for you, John.
Yeah, what the
It only takes me a couple minutes.
As we're booting up our computers, Blake just Googles bad movie, and whatever comes up first, that's his pick.
No, I was like, I want to watch another movie like Swamp Ape. Went to Swamp Ape, similar movies. And the first one was Holler Creek, whatever it is. Jesus Christ. Oh, shit.
All right, folks. The tables have turned. Maybe John's going to quit next episode. You'll just have to tune in to find out. We will see you next week. Hello, folks. This is Chase, and I just wanted to clue you guys in on a few things that have transpired since we recorded this episode of Garbage Theater. As you know now, Blake wound up winning the contest and locking us in to watch Holler Creek Canyon. However, upon closer inspection of that movie, after we watched the first half an hour or so, we discovered that, our worst fears were made real, and it's basically a Skinamax movie. So, Blake decided to make an integrity move and suggest that we not watch this movie. So we are going to do a little pivot, and we're going to actually watch RoboWar. Now, Blake is still going to get the win. He's still going to moderate. John's still going to be up for the contest alongside me. We talked about this. This was a Blake decision, so it's not like we forced him into it like we didn't want to watch this movie. It was just, we want to hang on to the few scraps of integrity that we still have by, not watching a porno. So stay tuned for next week, where John and I will pitch our movies for Coming Attractions, and then we will have Garbage Theater Presents RoboWar. See you then, folks.